I think as we're having some issues with audio, I never put videos in my presentations, and sod's law the time that I do, and it's got a lot of talking in it as well. So I won't bore you with myself trying to talk over it, because I'll no doubt just blab on. Yeah, for those of you that don't know me, as a quick introduction, if you can't see me up there, then there's a picture of me up there as well. I'm the Strategic Business Manager at Solibri. So we've been looking a lot recently into how we're owned by the Nemetschek group. I think we're 16, 17 brands strong now. There's 15 up on that little graphic at the bottom there, but there's some other companies that no doubt you'll know. If you don't know who Solibri are, we're involved with we're rules-based sort of QA procedures, so quality checking of IFC models within a workflow to check against building regs, standards, whatever it is that you might want to check for. I've put together today's slides together just based on some research we've done recently. So I've teamed up with the guys at Bluebeam in Los Angeles. They've got a great educational program, and they do a lot of work on the educational side of things in the States. So we've been talking to Milwaukee School of Engineering. We had an initial WebEx conference that you'll see a screenshot from in a second, and I tried an American accent as well, and I was told borderline offensive. So I'm not going to try it again today. But we were talking to them because they had a conversation with Bluebeam about a competition that was coming up. It was called the VDC. So that's the Virtual Design and Construction competition. It's held in Reno. And it's kind of a big one-day event that starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. You get about 6 months to prepare for it, and you get a load of design challenges chucked at you. And I think there's 3 main ones throughout the day that you've got to come up with a solution for. And so we were talking about how can we as a software vendor make a difference and make our software accessible without getting involved in the politics of what do they use for this task and what do they use for that task, because we're all trying to sell ourselves and our software to them. So in the discovery stages, we came up with a few questions for them. The main questions were focused around what might distract them or put them off of joining the industry once they finish their course at university. And this video that we found together, as I say, if there's no audio, it might not work. But if we just flick through to it, hopefully it'll play automatically, and we might get some audio if we're lucky. No, we've got nothing. But here, basically, if I try and improvise and talk over what's happening here, this was a video that the students found and put forward to me and said this best describes what we come across daily when we're trying to talk to professionals. And again, these are the students from the Milwaukee School of Engineering. So what's happening here is, in this video, it's quite funny at times. It's basically young people sat with their grandparents trying to look at old technologies, and as you can see here, we've got this record player that they're trying to work out how to use it. And my question that I was going to put forward when this video stopped was going to be if anyone can hazard a guess as to what the point was that the students from Milwaukee were trying to make. The point and behind this video was that, well, in fact, there's a continuation of this video as well, that the young people worked out the technology in the end, and actually there's an extension to this video that isn't included in this one, but it shows one of the young people showing his grandmother that she can actually do a whole load more things with the other. It's one of these alarm clocks, and it says on there it only rings at 4 a.m. I've always had an alarm clock on my phone, so I can't remember things like that, but I think he'd worked out another way of getting any time that you want for this alarm clock to ring. So he was actually then teaching her things as she was trying to teach him about old technologies. And without blabbering on too much, the story behind this was that they were trying to say that when they go into the industry or they try and talk to these large companies that they're trying to get maybe an apprenticeship with or whatever, they say, well, we've used this at university, or we've had access to this and it works really well, and we can do what you're telling me I can do in half an hour or an hour, and you're telling me it's going to take a couple of days. and talking to them about new technologies, it was just kind of resisted, and they said, well, we do it this way, and you're coming into our way of working, and there was no trust there as to what they had learned and they were trying to put forward and promote that they'd done. So I won't play this the silent video for any longer. We'll go on and try and have a look. Find that next story. So we did a bit of a case study with these guys, with the students. So this is how it started. As I say, we had this WebEx. They don't mind me putting half of the professor's face on there. But this is how it started. It started on a WebEx, and we just had some conversations around what do they want from a software vendor when they're at university, and how might we be able to help them with their competition in the VDC. So we asked them this question: what could put graduates off joining the industry as well? And these were the three main points that came out of it. Competition between vendors. This was a really interesting one for me because my background has been sales side. So this was a very interesting one because, of course, we know that there's all different software vendors and we all compete with each other and we're all trying to put our solutions forward. But actually the conversation was around students don't want to get involved with that. They just want access to software so that they can do the best job in their course. They don't have thousands of pounds to go and spend on a software license, so why are we trying to compete? Why not just make it accessible to them? And I think they've been caught up in some politics of people trying to say, use this software because it's really good for that, use this software. And they actually just said, well, we just want to have access to everything and then make our own decision on that because we're quite switched on and we know what we're doing. That's why we're at university. Business can be daunting. We had a long conversation. In fact, a few of the students were debating with each other about this because some of them were very confident and some were saying, well, actually going into the industry is quite a daunting thing. It's quite a challenging thing. I'm going to work with professionals that are a lot, quite often older than me and they're more experienced. So, how can I make an impact if I've just come out of university and I'm trying to, how can I make a difference? And they make it exciting. They're talking about this VDC challenge in Reno. They were all, there was a real buzz around the team because they'd been working for 6 months to a year, preparing with, how were they going to deal with a quality assurance test? Well, we were going to use Solibri. How are we going to deal with, coming up with an IFC model that we can have everything included in? We're going to choose a modelling package for that and whatever it is. So actually, they're saying make things exciting and allow us to just do what we want to do and get involved in these competitions, make it fun, and then we have this kind of real-world experience, fake real-world experience from these competitions that we go to. So we then looked at trying to address these issues, and so if I break them down here, and these are some quotes that we had, and I'll kind of summarise what they said. So the competition between vendors point that they came up with, we gave them access to everything that they wanted. And you can see there they said, for the VDC we had access to a huge range of software to help us produce the best result possible. So they tested pretty much everything, came up with pros and cons lists of all of the software that they tried using, and then picked out the best ones for those. Because again, as I said before, they're intelligent people, they know what they're doing and wanted to, the point that Alison made earlier about the, Revit just being like PowerPoint or whatever it is, they just pick it up as they go. So that was taking away that competition and giving it to them was a really important thing to them. Business can be daunting. Again, I'm not going to try and read all of this out to you, but with these events that they go to, and so they've got a lot of other competitions that they go to, and their professors push them to go and do these events as well, to be involved in competitions. Going along to that, as you can see that they've said there, they can put problem solving to the test, and they can iron out as many mistakes as they want to and try different methods, and then they can go in and hopefully be a bit more trusted and say, I've got this on my CV. I've been and done this, and maybe we won, or as these guys came, I think top 5 out of however many schools took part, and they can put that forward and say, I've got experience with problem solving. And actually, in terms of, there's an additional point there, that we had some really positive feedback from the fact that we had actually gone to these students and said to them, tell us about what you're doing, tell us about how you used Solibri and how you used Bluebeam in the competition, And they said that that made a real difference because we were going to the students and saying, you know, put your stamp on this case study and tell us what you've been doing and what you found successful, rather than us just, you know, putting out case studies with businesses. Let's talk from the young people that are coming through and using these evolving technologies. And again, making it exciting. They've, I quite like the bit that they put at the end here, which is saying being involved and being trusted is exciting. It's not always just the physical competitions, it's actually being a part of a wider thing. You know, really means something to students that are passionate about what they're doing, but maybe just a little bit daunted about where they're going. And this was just a question. I sent a case study question document to them. And again, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I've highlighted the bottom part. And this was these questions weren't answered by you know, professors or teachers or anything like that. This was answered by the students. And this line at the bottom that I've highlighted where it says, "We are approaching a time where it is not possible to be a successful industry professional in this field without an understanding of new and evolving technologies." And I thought that was really key to what conversations we had with them, because it's all about technologies and what's coming through, and you know, maybe bringing this into when they go into these apprenticeships or scholarships or whatever it is, when they go on to their next step, they can take this experience with them and they can choose what suits where they go to. So back to the question of how we can make a difference as a vendor, and these are kind of, in my opinion, based on some of the work that we've been doing. Take away that competition. It's a point I've made a couple of times now. You know, enable and become accessible rather than selling. You know, these are students, as I said, they don't have the thousands of pounds to go and buy the software, so let's just say, here it is, and we support you, and we want you to, you know, do the best job you can with the projects and the work that you're doing, rather than saying, you know, this is better than that, don't go to them, come to us, and all of that. They don't want to get involved in it. And young people are intelligent and tech savvy. I can't say that for myself so much, unless it's the PlayStation. I'm quite good at that. But you know, let them make educated decisions and test things for us. Get involved in educational projects and let them do things and bring that experience with them. This is something that I'm pushing at the moment. As I said, we're kind of early stages, but have a student program for software. So hours at Solibri, but then push that out into the rest of the Nemetschek group if we can. So again, just making it accessible and you know, giving that support. Promote the work that the students are doing. They said that it made a real difference being involved in a WebEx where they were being interviewed about what they had been doing. It makes it exciting for them, so put their stamp on it and promote what they're doing and make them feel important and wanted in the industry so that they don't get distracted away and you know, they stick to where they want to go with it. And work together and keep sharing ideas. Again, my opinion, but if you know, groups like this and some of the ideas that are put out in these different conversations that we have really makes a difference. And pretty much, that's me.